Two.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Too Much Test podcast, where we mainly talk about PEDs and other fun, manly stuff. I guess I'll just get into it. Today, I had something happen to me that I don't remember happening in the longest time. I went to the gym this morning, got there. I was on set 2, my second exercise, and I just had that feeling, and I was like, ooh, this isn't good. This is bad. And so I had to kind of sit on the machine for a second. You know how if you're having stomach issues, it'll kind of come back up. Because I was like, there's no way that I'm going for that last rep, just, with the possibility of shitting myself in the gym. And so then I do exercise 3, and on exercise 4, I was finishing up, and I was like, nope, gotta go. I'm out of here. And I drove my ass home. I wanted to do a 5th exercise and get some cardio in, but was just not in the cards today. I don't know what the situation was, but I sure as shit was not shitting myself in the gym. I will never do that.
Do you have social anxiety about shitting in the gym?
No, I mean not so much. It's just not a good look, I mean, the gym is pretty empty in the morning, but I just don't want to be walking through the aisles of the machines with just shit dripping out of my pants. So prefer not to do that if possible.
Why not just shit at the gym? Or was it the pain in your stomach, one of those ones where you're like, you get the pain, discomfort in your stomach, and you know that it's just extremely volatile shit that you want to do at home? Or is it hey, if you take a normal shit, you do it in the gym?
No, it was, well, I don't really shit at the gym. I don't 99% of the time, I don't see why people shit at the gym unless it's an accident. I feel like you should plan your shits around being out in public. You know what I'm saying? I don't just I don't wake up and if I'm yo, I got to take a fat shit, but you know what? I'm going to try to power through the gym. And, if I've got to take a shit at the gym, then that's what happens. I don't know. I just feel like you should plan accordingly.
And if you guys want to plan accordingly, in case you have to take a shit at the gym, we do have 2 sponsors for this show. One of them you can do that with, the ultimategymtowel.com, TMT25 for 25% off. Now, if you have a Ultimate Gym Towel and you get the urge, right? You get the urge that you're like, oh, I got a brown-headed turtle popping out. You have the tool at hand to take care of the issue.
I like that segue.
If you don't know about the Ultimate Gym Towel, it's kind of like a skirt for a man, but it's more than that in a sense. So if you did have shit dripping down your leg, it's got Velcro and you could wrap it around yourself and nobody would know. And you'd be like, yeah, this is what I work out in. And nobody would know that you have shit dripping down your leg, and you could wipe it off perfectly fine with your Ultimate Gym Towel. Go check them out. Also, triggerbrand.com. They don't sell you any poopy towels, but they have a lot of cool different research compounds. Check them out. And they have TMT10 for 10% off. Lots of cool stuff over there. You like that transition? I was like, oh, this is a good one.
I just got a text message from Ultimate Gym Towel, and they're actually pulling the sponsorship. They want to be called a skirt or related with shitting in the gym. So we'll have to find a new sponsor for the show.
I'm getting some work done around my house, and I had this guy over the other day. I think it was yesterday, and he's doing the soffit and the fascia. Normally there's a drip edge. So if you're not familiar with construction for people who are listening, you'll have the roof, and then right at the edge of the roof, there's this metal aluminum that goes underneath the shingles, but it also comes down over the edge. And how it's supposed to be done is you'll have it'll be made out of metal or plastic or something like that, or you'll have the wood that comes down to the drip edge actually has something between the wood and the drip edge to hold it away from the wet wood. So that way, when water comes over the top, it doesn't just hit wood, right? It actually holds it out. I don't know if you can see this, but it holds the drip edge away from the wood so that the water just comes down and drips right off. It doesn't come down and drip onto the wood. So I have, this is a flip house. So clearly they just don't give a shit when they do flips. And there is nothing that's holding the drip edge away from the fascia on the house. So it was all rotted out. And in the backyard, the guy had a question. He's like, oh, hey, what do you want me to do in this? Because he's just doing handyman tips if it's not a contractor. And so I'm out there and I'm talking to him, and I'm barefoot because I go barefoot all the time. And there's a 1 foot or maybe a 1.5 foot like ledge. It's basically just dirt, and then you step down into more dirt. Because in Florida we just have sand a lot of times, depending on where you live. And I'm also redoing the backyard too. So I step off of there as I'm talking to him, and we're looking up at the fascia and the soffit because he'd get ripped those down. And I step right onto a board with 2 nails facing up. They stuck into the bottom of my foot, bro. They stuck into whoops, sorry. I just kicked my dog. I lift my foot up to like pull it out, and I'm pulling, and it's like this. The skin is pulling because the nail is inside, and it has a spot like this in one part of my foot and a spot like this in the other part of my foot as it's like pulling the skin out because it's stuck inside. And then I was like, the dude was like, oh shit. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And I just fucking yanked it out, but my foot is sore today. So,
dude, that's bad.
That's my story.
oh, that's fucking. Bro, I remember when I was a kid, I stepped on a belt buckle where the middle part that was there, and I remember because it wasn't super sharp, it was more blunt, but I put all my weight on it. I remember hearing like this pop, and it was popped through the skin, and that shit hurts, bro, because that's like hits your bone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was. I don't know how deep it was into my foot, but like. It was in the arch portion of my foot. So like every step that I take today is just like tender because it's 2 different spots. So what I didn't do anything special other than like after I finished up with him, continue walking around barefoot in the dirt and the sand and the grass. I came inside and I washed it a little bit, and then I took some BPC after cleaning it out, and I put some BPC. I didn't inject it, right? But I withdrew the BPC into the needle, broke off the needle on the insulin pen, and then I just dripped some directly on the shot, and then I took some nasally, the rest of the shot nasally. But I was like, okay, we'll see how tomorrow goes. Tonight, I'll probably take a little bit more BPC. Maybe this one I'll do an injection or something like
Bro,
that.
BPC is fucking awesome. Like, it's crazy that's not a medicine yet. It's just because it can't be patented. So, I mean, it's cool to see the rest of the world kind of waking up to it, you know, and being like, hey, like, I just don't need pharma pills, you know, and all this. Like, I can use something natural. Like, pretty wild. I was actually, I'll let you go. And I was reading up on a peptide.
Oh, I'm curious to hear about that. So I actually pulled up this study from, where was it? Emory University, wherever that is. And I thought it was very interesting and relates to some of the things that we talk about. So testosterone, at least how I talk about it, I think we've talked about it on the show multiple times, where when you take testosterone or you do things actively in your life, if you're natural, to increase your testosterone, people always think people who have high testosterone are extremely aggressive, right? Or just like hypersexual, which those can be accurate statements, right? But what ends up happening and that we talk about is that you become a better like overall human being, right? It's not just that you are like potentially more aggressive or potentially heightened libido, but you also are just far more likely to take care of the things that you need to take care of in your life. And that could be related to diet, having conversations and relationships you need to have, or just doing what you need to take care of in your life. Like everybody's got different things. Nobody needs to be told what to do. If they're slightly competent, they know what the next thing it is, right? Even if they're not competent, they know that like living in a pigsty is probably not a good idea. And that can be the first thing for them. So I found this study because it actually backs up what anybody who has high testosterone already knows. Testosterone promotes cuddling, not just aggression in animals. So they talk about this. Gerbil wrote, I think it's basically like, kind of like a rat, but they bond with a female. And so when they're bonding, they might be like slightly more aggressive. And then after they bond and the female becomes pregnant, then they will cuddle with their mate, right? And so they have like the aggressiveness and then they have the cuddling. And then they went through and after they were pregnant, they gave them shots of testosterone. And what they noticed is that they actually had more cuddling. And this is a quote from the researchers. instead, we were surprised that a male gerbil became even more cuddly and pro-social because like testosterone, there's some evidence. Well, this is the only way they actually test it, right? They just want to show that testosterone is bad, so they show like it's antisocial. It is pro-aggression, right? And then you want the pacification of America and men, right? So they want to show that the thing that actually helps men is a bad thing, right? So that's what they're trying to do. And this is telling the much more accurate story with this. And they go on to say that he became like a super partner. And I thought that was a very accurate way of describing like how, and it's not everybody, right? Because I think you have to have like, you have to be slightly demented in a way to think about like, all I want to do every single day is just get better. And I understand that's not how like everybody thinks about things, right? Or like works at it. But I was like, oh, that accurately describes testosterone, right? Even if men don't want to get better in all areas of their life all the time, like every waking moment, like I do, like it tends to go in that direction where they know they want to get better. And I was like, that's a super interesting study. Like, why aren't they promoting things like this? It increases like the pro-social behavior, not just aggression and not just libido, right? I was like, they need more of this evidence out there instead of saying, oh yeah, taking all these drugs to lower testosterone, taking like, what's the one for cholesterol?
Statins.
Taking statins lowers testosterone, right? Because like, what is testosterone made out of? Like, what is
Cholesterol.
D made out of? Cholesterol.
Yeah.
Right? If you're
Yeah,
taking
so you've got
things,
SSRIs and statins, which both lower testosterone, mess with your libido. And that's pretty much what everyone's on. That's what I mean. Well, statins, blood pressure medicine. I don't believe there's a correlation between blood pressure and low testosterone. But yeah, I mean, we're just chemically making guys weaker and bigger pansies. And like if you think about it, like, and I always go back to like cavemen and evolution, like a high testosterone male that is going to be more successful with women and more successful in passing along his genetics, it would make sense that testosterone would increase that, that bond between him and the female. It allows him to be hyper aggressive if there's a threat or he needs to protect his family. But when you're sitting in the cave and your girl is giving birth, you're going to be there to help her through the situation. You're a team. So it makes sense that higher testosterone would make you a better partner. I mean, that just makes sense to me. Like, I've got my little cave kid and my cave girl in the cave, and, a coyote or something comes in, it's boom, on, switch on. I'm ready to fuck this thing up as best I can, so, but it's,
they even mentioned that with the study here, how like the increased testosterone and like the protection of their partner, right? Like they even mentioned that in here. So I completely agree with that.
It just makes sense. And like for me, like I think one of the things that I see a lot of guys talk about is that they've lost like their drive, and it's hard to like put in words like what that is. And I don't know, I guess I've always been kind of a high functioning person, but I've definitely noticed over the past 5 years that I've been on TRT, like on the weekend and stuff, like not that I won't watch TV or chill at all, but it's just like, I'm just like, all right, got to clean the spa filter, got to clean the pool filter, got to get this project done, this, that. And, and it's just like, I just kind of bounce from one task to the other. And I really get enjoyment out of finishing tasks. Like, on Sunday, I pressure washed my pool deck, and I spent like an hour spraying out all the little sand and shit like that, and just got it looking pristine, brushed my pool. Yeah, it fucking sucked, but when I was done, I'm like, hell yeah, I got that shit done. And that's what I think is that's that click in guys' brains that a lot of guys are missing. They get that apathetic attitude where they just sit on the couch. And like you said, guys are sitting there playing video games all day, and there's 10 bottles of Mountain Dew and Doritos all over there, and their house is a fucking mess. Not that I'm a clean freak, but
I think that like some people, like when you talk to the guys like that, they just don't know they either don't know where to start, or like they are addicted to almost like watching other people's success and feeling shitty about themselves, like online, right? And I don't know if you feel the same way, but like it's almost that I'm addicted to achievement. And it doesn't have to be like financially. Like I like finance, business related stuff a lot, right? And it is for me because I enjoy that kind of stuff. But it's also the same thing. Like I like to make progress on the house. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy, right? Like I also like to have a clean car, both inside and outside, right? I like to have, stuff straightened up. I like to have like the house. It's actually kind of ironic. Because the house is virtually like empty because I don't like clutter, and I'll just throw shit away if it feels like it's cluttered to me. Okay, good, it's garbage then. And so the house and the bedroom and the kitchen and everything is like very bare. It's like a minimalistic. There's not a lot of furniture in the house, but that's how I like it. I don't want that extra clutter in there. But my office has opportunity. I just put all my mail together.
Shit.
But anyways, taking the time to go through and just making progress on those small things, and you get addicted to making progress. It's like going to the gym and trying to squat like 300 pounds or trying to bench press 2.25 or whatever it is. Like you get addicted to making progress in the gym, right? And you're like, oh, I was at 145 for the bench press, and now I'm at 165, and now I'm 225, and I'm getting to 315, or whatever the case is. You get addicted to the progression in the gym, but the same thing goes for other areas, whether it's like my relationship or like the stuff throughout the house, or having a clean car, or making like those little projects around the house that need to get done, right? Just it's nothing crazy, but you're like, hey, I will feel better and I will enjoy the satisfaction of having taken the 2 hours to clean the pool deck and make sure it's all picked up and all the tiny little details are taken out of that, And it's so satisfying to do all those things.
Oh, I agree 100%. And that's why I like doing lists. And I know we've talked about this, but dude, like on Friday after work or whatever, I'll put together a list of shit I need to do over the weekend, clean fish tank, clean, air conditioning filter, blah, 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 blah. Just list it all out, make YouTube video, this and that. And I just leave that out in like the living room and the kitchen area. And I wake up on Sunday, get some coffee in me, and I'm like, all right, bang that one out. Let's bang that one out, and it's, but bro, it does not help that. Think of how many times you've talked to guys just in social media where they have low normal testosterone levels and their doctors put them on SSRIs and Viagra and all that stuff. And then a year later, they feel even worse. But that's the norm, dude. Like how did testosterone become so taboo? I feel it's what the fuck's the word? Intentional.
Yeah. We're like on that, like we're on that turning point. I feel like a little bit, right? Because it's like when we first started when I first got into it, it was definitely super, super, super taboo. Like you definitely wouldn't talk about it. Like literally we have a podcast where we talk about taking testosterone and jamming ourselves with needles. Like, look at the thing up at the top. If you're listening to this on a podcast, this is also on YouTube. There's an Instagram logo with a needle sticking out of it, right? Like a syringe sticking out of it.
It only seems to be on my side for some reason.
Well, you're the only one who's actually taken anything here. I'm like natural. Basically.
That's true.
I completely forgot what I was going to say. Damn.
I got some new ink while we were away. Just some added onto it. So it's going to be
like a snake or octopus.
It's an octopus, and it's going to be like kind of reddish and yellow.
No.
If you can't see, it's basically an octopus on my chest and shoulder, and these are like blue and white rings. It's called a blue ringed octopus, and dude, they're dope if you look up a picture of them. But in real life, they're only like 1.5 inches big. They're only like this big.
Oh, really?
They're like super beautiful and bright and colorful. So,
I remember what I was going to say. The lists, right, and like making the list. I looked those up. Those are really dope looking. And it's like that big on this guy's hand.
Yeah.
Making the lists. I've done this off and on for the last couple of years. Like I've talked to you about like doing my goals or writing my goals down every day, right? Because if it's like if you look at the data on goal setting, right? You have two groups of people. One of them writes their goals down. The other one writes down like what they had for breakfast or some arbitrary bullshit. And then you follow up with them in 2 years from today. The group that wrote down their goals like made way more progress than the group that didn't write down their goals. And there's not just like one study, there's like a bunch of different studies that confirm this. So you're like, if working out is so like good for you, if eating healthy is so good for you, like why would you spend 1 day a year eating healthy or working out, right? Like most people do with their goals, and they write them down for New Year's resolution. This thing that is so incredibly powerful, like powerful enough that we like talk about eating correctly and talk about working out, right? Is extremely powerful, and yet people do it like once a year. Like I don't get that, right? So I started writing it down every day 3 years ago, and holy, my life is completely changed. 100%. And throughout that time, there's been periods where I've done this and I haven't done this, but now I'm being far more consistent with it. Is the evening before picking a priority. So it's like 1 to maybe 4 different things, and that's the priority for the day. Like all the other BS minutia type stuff has to get done, right?
Yeah.
But it's secondary to the priority. The priority needs to get accomplished. And it's probably been maybe 10 days or so of being like consistent back with it, because it might be like 2 or 3 days, and then I won't do it for 2 or 3 weeks, and then 2 or 3, 4 days, and then not doing it. So it's been about 10 days now in a row. Fuck. The amount of shit that I'm getting done is incredible. Like, and I'm doing, like I work 7 days a week, and I'm just always getting stuff done. But having the intention, like at nighttime, I'll set out the intention of like what that thing is. And a lot of times I'll just do it like, I get into bed and I'll be reading and I'm like, oh, put my book down. Like, what's the, 1 or 2 things that are going to be like most impactful for my businesses and stuff tomorrow, right? And I'll lay there and I'll think about several different things. And then I'll okay, that one and that one. And then first thing in the morning, I will work on, like, I'll remember what those things are. And I'll either send myself an email if it's like 3 or 4 things or something like that. So I'll be like, okay, these 3 things or whatever. But wow, I really, really enjoy that. And I'm knocking out all sorts of stuff. Like even if you were just like, try it. So tonight, set an intention of like one tiny little thing that you would normally maybe do on the weekend to get accomplished. One tiny thing, something that's going to be like changing the air filter on the air handler or something like that. You know what I mean? Nothing crazy or whatever the case is. It's, I don't know. I really, really like it, especially for the business or like with your, I know you're doing some studying for some stuff and like just that kind of stuff. It's like, hey, intention, this specific thing. I find it really, really powerful for myself.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good tip. I mean, just setting goals in general. I mean, it's just, like on Friday, like when I'm sitting there with my pad of paper, I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? And just the act of actually taking a couple of minutes and thinking of what you need to do. And then I'll be like, just something I would have never even thought of. I'm like, oh shit, I haven't drained the water heater and get all the sediment out of that in a while. Okay, shit, I'll write that down. It's something that you would totally forget if you didn't really just sit down and actually try to think about it. So it's super powerful. I would definitely recommend doing that.
Hey, that's a good idea that I got to actually write that down, bring this in the power tank.
Work on list, do list.
Yeah.
I'm actually thinking about working out, kind of after work more in the later afternoon. And I'm not sure if I'm 100% going to do it, but I went to the gym on the 4th of July and, I didn't take pictures and post it on social media. So everyone knows that I work out on holidays, like all the other little Instagram girls that were there. There were so many photo shoots going on and I know what the post would be. Rise and grind girls, got to work out on the weekends and holidays to achieve your goals. Look at my ass. But anyway, so I was like, so I just had like the endless amount of time at the gym, because it was a holiday. And so I did like 6 exercises of chest. I did like decline, flat, and incline for presses, and then for also cable crossovers. Bro, I'm sitting there doing incline dumbbell presses, and I've got the 75s, and I fucking suck at benching. Bro, this fucking monster motherfucker comes up next to me and throws up the 125s on the incline and is just doing it for reps, bro. He was a big dude. And I I was fucking around with him. I was like, bro, I was like, come on. I was like, you can't make me look bad like this. And he was just kind of chuckling. But dude, I did those 6 exercises and I did them hard. Dude, I did that on Tuesday and I'm on 240 milligrams of test and Deca, and my chest is fucking sore 2 days later. You know what I'm saying? Like, you press on your muscle and it hurts.
So, okay, that's great though.
I know.
Especially if you want to build size.
Mm-hmm.
Like what you just described, literally I used to track in a spreadsheet. Like I would track what I trained, and if I was sore 24 hours after my workout, not just tight. If I was not sore, it was not a good workout. So I get to see the body part I trained, right? Chest, back, legs, shoulders, and arms or something like that, right? And over time, I would track the data so that I would get to see, okay, legs I'm sore 73% of the time on average, the 24 hours after I work out. But say shoulders, I'm only sore 22% of the time, 24 hours after I work out. So I get to see the data to change my workouts up. But I want to ask you, so what would be the rationale or the thought process for going in the evening instead?
Couple things. So when you first wake up, you're typically a little dehydrated. You're going to be generally more tired because you just woke up. And also kind of limited time because I've got other stuff I need to do. So I was actually I actually ran into the guy that, talking about Dragon on Instagram. I ran into him. He was doing like an hour and 20 minutes of cardio. And I was like, dude, you're a fucking animal. But he was, after I got on the cardio with him, and I did like 39 minutes, which is the longest I've done in a while. But after we were done, we were walking out and I was like, oh, are you going to hit the weights? And he was like, no. He's like, I just come here to do cardio. And then I'll go eat a couple meals, take a pre-workout, and then I come back and work out on top of that. So he kind of splits up cardio and weightlifting. He's also prepping for a show. But if I went after, and granted, I know there are downsides to that because 6 o'clock at the gym is a lot busier than 6 in the morning. But if I could work out from 6 to 8, and I could do 6, 7 exercises plus 30 minutes of cardio every day, that would be awesome. Because, dude, I'm going to be honest, my chest feels like, have you ever taken a week off from the gym or 2 weeks off and then you go there and do chest? The next day you're like, oh, bro, that's how I feel 2 days later. And I also, dude, I was thinking about this and I was like, for a lot of guys on TRT, like when you start working out on TRT, before, let's say you had trouble recovering, you go to the gym and every single day you're sore as shit for 2 or 3 days because you have no testosterone. Once you get on TRT and you kind of get into the swing of things, if you're not getting sore, like you're kind of creating your own plateau for yourself. In your head, you're thinking, oh, wow, I'm recovering so much better. I'm not really sore the next day. And I understand it is a little harder to get sore when you're on TRT, but if you can push yourself to get sore and you're on TRT, you're going to grow a lot faster than you think.
I think you should definitely do that. And literally this conversation to me is like, I kind of want to try the same thing. Cause in the mornings, I like give myself like an hour. I like maybe an hour and 5 to 10 minutes to work out. And I'm not doing any cardio. I'm just working out, but it's just everything is like a superset. It's just boom, 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 boom through it. But I'm not like sore after all my workouts, and I'm not tracking the data today, but there's also like a fuckload of shit that I could get done first thing in the morning where like you might feel having the mind focused on that stuff maybe more productive than, so say like it's 6 p.m. right now, and I don't know how about you, but we're going to film this episode. We'll probably film another episode. Then I'm going to go like eat and I'll shower, and then I'll be like, okay, cool, let me get some more stuff done. But like the pace at which I get stuff done from like 6 o'clock, so say shower, eat, finish by like 7:30-ish, right? After we do another show and stuff like that. That last little bit, in all honesty, I get some stuff done, but the pace at which I get it done is not as quick as it is in the morning, where I could allocate that time to training, because training, I'm going to make sure my fucking shit's done no matter what. And and then take that time and allocate the hour and 5 minutes that I spend in the gym, right, can be towards accomplishing more stuff. And when my mind is needed is fresh first thing in the morning. And I like that idea. I think I'm going to actually start that tomorrow.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Everything has pros and cons. The other, the con of going to the gym at 6 o'clock, and for me, it's not as much of a problem, but for a lot of people, it's like, oh man, fucking got my ass reamed today at the office. I'm tired as shit. I can make it to the gym tomorrow. One day's not going to hurt, and then 5 years later, you're 60, 70 pounds overweight, and you never went back to the gym. That's a little dramatic, but it is sometimes. It's tough to get up at 5:30 in the morning and make it to the gym. It's also tough to go from, work or whatever you're doing the entire day and then go hit the gym. So one of those things.
Well, yeah, right. Like, having shitloads of money is hard, and not having lots of money is also hard. Like, which hard do you want to pick?
That's true. That's true.
Right. Like,
yeah. I'm trying to incorporate like an extra set into every exercise that I do. I mean, it's tough to do with certain stuff like shrugs, like, you can only do so many fucking shrugs in a day, but I'm going to try to incorporate, at least for the big lifts, back, chest, shoulders, definitely try to add some more sets in there, because that's just volume. And that's just,
are you going to implement this and start training in the afternoon?
I'm still thinking about it. I literally just started thinking about it today, so I haven't made a full decision.
Hey, let's do that. Let's start tomorrow. What are you going to put in? What are you going to put in? I'm literally going to do this tomorrow.
Well, there's other stuff that I have to factor into it. That also cuts down on, 2 hours a night that I spend with my wife, who, we both work and do a lot of other stuff.
Hey, bro, you got the weekend, bro. You got the weekend. You're good. You're fine.
I also wanted to touch on real quick. Remember, I got this little tracker, and I think one thing, and you're asking me like, what experiment can I do? And, I know your mind was like racing of all these experiments and like data recording and shit like that. But one of the things that it's actually helped me with in just the week or so that I've had it is tracking steps. And my phone does it too, but this one tracks all my steps because it's on my wrist, and I'm trying to hit 10,000 steps a day. So it seems like typically walking around just normally throughout the day, I hit about 3,000 to 4,000. And then if I do cardio in the morning at the gym, I'll hit about 3,000. And then I start walking my dog around the neighborhood, and that's about 3,000 or 4,000. So I'm trying to consistently hit 10,000 steps every day.
Good. Hey, would your girl go to the gym with you in the evening?
Possibly. But it would be one of those things where I'm going to be a little bit more dedicated than her. So,
But maybe, like, I know with my girl, like, she likes to be home where she works, travels for work, right? So, like, she likes it when she's home because, like, when she's out and about and doing stuff or like working, she has the access to the gym and stuff, but she might not actually utilize the gym, or might have a little bit small training sessions if she does use the gym, versus like she knows that if she's at the house, like, doesn't matter, like, I'm going to train whether you fucking want to go with me or not. And so it gives her like that accountability type thing. I also heard a very interesting. Started listening to this podcast. Very good podcast, by the way. Some very like thoughtful questions on there. It's like the Diaries of a CEO or something. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. I think that's what it is. I've just been listening to it on YouTube sometimes when I'm working, because certain guests were on it or whatever. But the guy asked some pretty good questions, and he is interviewing this guy who's a researcher, but it's like a psychological. He's a psychologist, but he's also a marketer, and so he like blends those two things together. And what he mentioned, it was either that or one of the books I'm reading. I don't remember where it came from. How humans will perform better when they're around other people, right? So like I've always felt that way. Like, I need to set a good example for anybody that I'm around. And like, this is it. I've noticed this for 20 fucking years. Like, it's like if you're just sitting around twiddling your thumbs, you're just the only person that needs to be accountable to, right? But when you have a standard in your mind of like, oh, hey, I'm the person who works hard. I'm the person who likes to get things done. I'm the person who handles the situations that other people fucking bitch out on, right? And that's the character traits that you have. Then when you have other people around, that gives you the opportunity to be authentic to yourself and the stories you're telling yourself about your character, right? Like, I'm the man, I'm the leader, I'm the one that's responsible, I'm the one who's going to take care of whatever fucking issues come up, right? And handle whatever it is. You're not going to back down or run away or not. Oh, we'll take care of it tomorrow, right? Like, okay, that needs to be handled. Great. I don't know how to handle it. We'll have a conversation and figure that shit out, right? And listening to that, like, this was like last night while I was having dinner or something like that, I was listening to it. And then what we were just talking about with going to the gym, right? Because I go to the gym very early as well. A lot of times it's around 6-ish to 7, or like 6:20 to 7:20 or something like that. And there's barely anybody in the gym. But I also have been saying this for years and years that, yes, sometimes it's not super fun when the gym is packed. But that's what some people say, right? Like, I don't say that very often, because I actually get really good workouts when there's other people in the gym, and putting those two pieces together with what he was saying, as well as, like, I've been saying that for years, that like, having a super busy gym is actually kind of fun sometimes, because then it forces you to like bring your focus in on what you're doing, but also it's like, what's the stories that I tell myself about my training, right? That I train hard, right? That it's like I'm doing basically supersets and everything, and I'm working out very intensely, and I'm very focused and methodical about every single rep while I'm doing that, right? Well, I have to do that for myself when nobody's there. But if I have that same story I'm telling myself, but now there's, 4 times as many people or 5 times as many people around me, then it forces me to like be more like, it's like exercising the character traits that you believe in yourself, right? Like, you believe that you're X, Y, and Z, right? And this is what you tell yourself, and this is what you tell yourself, right? And that's what you're doing. But then when you're having it around other people, it's also like, oh yeah, I don't know if I'm doing a good job of articulating that.
You're kind of when there's other people around, you're kind of showing them whatever you kind of feel inside. So if you're, I'm the guy that works out hard in the gym, I work out harder than anyone else, and there's lots of people there watching you. It's kind of like you're putting it out there, like, yeah, I do this stuff. So I could see that. We kind of, like you were talking about, like, getting shit done, and we kind of came back full circle to like protecting your cave baby and your cave girl, from the coyote, where you can just snap up and you're like, yo, let's go, coyote. It's time. You're in my cave. It's time to get fucked up.
Well, that's actually a perfect, because don't they say when you write a paragraph, right, like or like a short story, you have the introductory, and then you kind of like wrap it around to make it full circle. So we just made this full circle for you, but we're going to give you a little bit of a teaser for the next video: testosterone in the next video, in the next podcast. So if you enjoyed this, there's 3 things that you can do to help. Right. If you're still here, then you probably enjoyed it to some extent, or you would shut it off. Share this with somebody else. It's tremendously helpful for us and for your friend. Hopefully they will like it as well. If they don't, you can let us know. You can let Test Your Levels know, because he'll care about that. Number two, leave us a review. Once you leave us a review on Apple or Google or whatever, take a screenshot, tag us on Instagram. Number 3, if you want, check out the sponsors, ultimategymtowel.com or triggerbrand.store, either one of those. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.